Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to In the Office with Scott and Wallace. I'm Robert Scott.
Matt McNamara.
Clint Wallace. Hey, everybody.
And today we're getting back to talking about some legal topics. In fact, the conversation today is going to involve current legislation and the impacts that it has on our practice areas. So to kick it off, I'll start with you, Matt, and start with Matt runs our employment law division. So why don't you talk a little bit about the new minimum wage law?
Okay. Yeah, and very fitting, we're doing legislative update today. The session started today in the state of Florida, so more fun bills to come that we can talk about this time next year.
Right.
So for the state of Florida, we're one of the states that, while the federal government will set the minimum wage for the whole country, meaning no state can go below it, other states have taken the initiative to go above and beyond that, set their own minimum wage requirements. So under Florida law, it comes down to the state to adjust it annually based on fun stuff like the Consumer Price Index and what that compares to. But at the end of the day, it's an annual increase. And this year it's about 1.12%. Actually comes out to be a 10-cent increase. So it went from $8.46 last year to now $8.56 this year. So it's not just an annual thing or just this year that people need to be aware of. It's every time we start a new calendar year. Because you live in the state of Florida, you should know that that means if you're a minimum wage employee, it's going to increase for that next year because it happens automatically every year.
Okay. All right, great. So employers that, I guess, employ minimum wage employees probably should pay attention to that, correct?
Yes. On when you start doing payroll starting January 1st, it will be a higher amount than it was the year before.
Okay. All right.
And what should somebody do if they look at their timesheet and they see that they've worked, they're not getting paid minimum wage?
The new year.
Right, so right then you should certainly notify your employer. I mean, there are a lot of great employers out there. Sometimes it's just a mistake. They're not, they catch it, they rectify the situation. But if it's a practice of the employer, if that's just what they're going to do and they're sticking with it and they're going to pay you what last year's minimum wage was, then give us a call. I'll walk you through kind of your options going forward, how to handle it, because it's minimum wage for a reason. Employers have to pay a minimum amount of money to their employees, and if they're not doing that, then they're in violation of the law.
It's non-negotiable, even if it's just a dime.
Right. Even if it's just a dime.
All right. Clint, talk about personal injury over here. So we've talked about the ban on texting while driving in Florida, and so that there's been a new year.
There's changes. So
yeah, there are changes. So what's changed?
Before January 1st, texting while driving was a secondary offense. What that means is if a cop saw you doing it, they couldn't pull you over unless you were doing something else. Like if they saw you without wearing a seatbelt or if you were speeding, then they could pull you over for texting while driving. That changed as of January 1st, and now it's a primary offense. So if you're texting while driving, they can pull you over just for that. So we think it's a good law. Should be texting while driving anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. The studies are out there. Texting while driving is just as dangerous as drinking and driving. So, all right. Well.
What are you allowed to do?
Yeah, so you can, while stationary, if you're at a stop sign, not moving, you can text. If you need to use it for an emergency purpose, call 911. You can text.
GPS, right?
And GPS if it's hands-free. You can't use it if not.
Right.
So,
No.
additionally, law enforcement officers, they have to see you do it. They come up to your car and ask you, were you texting? They don't have a right to search your phone. It's downtown warrant to be able to do that unless you give them permission. And so know your rights if you're a driver out there. If somebody asks you to go through your phone, you don't have to give them that unless you have a warrant. That's right.
So no emailing?
No emailing. No emailing. So,
Or Facebooking, unfortunately. Right?
yeah.
I'll have to
Megan,
listen
you
to
can't
that.
shoot our Facebook lives while driving.
All right. Yeah, so any questions about any of that, Megan?
No questions.
All right.
No.
Well, that's your legislative update.
Yeah. Let's see what they pass this session. We're hopeful for mandatory BI, mandatory bodily injury coverage, which will require all drivers to have insurance coverage in case they injure somebody. Florida's one of 2 states that doesn't have that, and it's a no-brainer to add it. I don't think it'll get added this year, but we'll see.
And until that happens, we talked about it ad nauseum on here about uninsured motorist coverage. Make sure you have that to protect yourself because without mandatory bodily injury coverage in the state, there's going to be a segment of drivers on the roads that are uninsured.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So you want to make sure you have UM. I guess we need to plug that.
Yeah.
It's always a really tragic situation when we have to explain to a client, maybe seriously.
Made that happen this week.
That there's no insurance coverage. So protect yourself, and hopefully, the legislature over here will pass some mandatory BI one of these days. So.
And you guys, while we're here, do you want to give a shout out to Principal Cook with Rickards? Because that was a big deal last week.
Okay,
Yeah, if he were here, I'd look up at that. Tell him congrats again. Yeah, it was a pleasure to meet Mr. Cook. He's doing a fantastic job. And,
those graduation rate increases are incredible.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, he's a perfect honoree this month, and he's doing great things at Rickards.
It's been fun seeing all the comments of people who's their favorite teacher, their favorite principal. So, yeah, the community really likes it.
Yeah. Anything else, guys?
Nope, I got nothing.
You got some work to do?
Yes.
Me too.
All
All right, guys.
See you
y'all
guys next week.
Thank you.